and Jonesy know what it's all about. From burnouts and doubts to boundaries that stick. We're right here with you through thick and thick. Do what you want because you're grown. You don't need to hustle all on your own. With that voice in your ear when it all goes whack. Take a deep breath, we got your back.
As you pick it up, you got to put whoever's on.
Most likely my mother's. Oh.
We love talking about.
Yeah.
All right.
Cold open.
We're gonna jump into another
Riveting episode.
We're gonna jump into another riveting episode of Minding Our Business. Our guest today's name, we're not sure. We're gonna go ahead and ask him because he told me his name was Brandon, but now today his name is Alexandru.
It's actually Dracula from the whole
It's
Romania.
Dracula.
It's Dracula. It's Vlad the Alexandru instead of Vlad the Impaler.
But there's probably a story behind your name then.
It is.
Start there.
It is. So, born and I guess you want to say raised for about the first 2.5 years of my life in Bucharest, Romania. I came over here. I was adopted from my birth mother. So Alexandru is a very actually common name out in Eastern Europe, specifically Romania, Russia, Moldova, that whole area. So when I came to America, my mom wanted to name me Brandon. Here we are. Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon.
Let's go, Brandon. Yeah, let's go. But it's just, so it's always very confusing, especially when I sign emails, when I talk to normal people not normal people like Jess, and, she can't figure out my name. Just two of them. So, it gets very confusing. So you can call me Bralex, Alexandru, Brandon, whatever. Alexandru.
Yeah.
Vlad the Alexander. Drew.
Yeah.
Yep.
Homie.
So, the homie. Yeah, that's what she usually does.
my
Yeah,
thing,
it's
homie.
6 o'clock in the morning, homie. I hear.
Alexandru Carpathian.
Like, I'm not even, my eyes are still not even up yet. I'm like, Jess, what do you want?
She's like, I'm just like, what's up, homie?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm still waking up.
All right. So now that we got your name,
She still doesn't know, though.
you're right.
Right, yeah, we're actually working
So we're
for
still very
Right.
confused.
Yeah,
We're going to
very
go
confused.
forward.
We are going to go forward.
All right.
Because what the show is about. It is about entrepreneurship and mental health. So I know that your past is you were a meteorologist, and you have since come from that and started your own video production company.
Correct.
That's a transition.
Yes, it's a transition. So give us that path.
But say it like a weather report.
Yeah.
Meaning like the path of how I came, or like the path of a weather
to
to
hear that there's a 50% chance of tripod breaking.
No, that was 110 today. Like, we broke all statistics today.
It came in broken.
Yeah, it was a 10-1 versus 1-10. But the ratio was very high for that. No, I went to, it's funny, when I came to America and I grew up and have this Pennsylvania accent, not an Eastern European one, which is so sad. I'm so sorry, everyone. I went to school local. I went to St. John Evangelist. I was in Sister Joan Irene's office 90 days out of 180 for the first 5 years I was there. Wooden spoon survivor, a roller survivor. I was very not well liked in Catholic school. I don't know why. I was quite a nice gem per se. I was a good kid. It depends who you ask.
Not quite liked by the authorities in the administration.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Or the tripod.
All I'm hearing was you were a young kid who was meant to be an entrepreneur who didn't fit in the sit-down box.
Yeah, with the sit-down box was 90 days out of 180 in that principal's office. So I went to St. John's, and then my mom transferred me over to Penwood Middle School, which is right up the street here in Yardley as well. I went there for the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Then I went to Pennsbury High School. I went to Pennsbury High School as a graduate of 2012 with the best prom in America, all the fun stuff that goes on there. Then from there, I decided I was going to apply to a couple different schools. I got accepted to different schools across the country, from Miami to San Francisco, Santa Rosa, Penn State, Millersville. Like 5 or 6 applicants. They all said, yes, we want you. But I also want my money. So I ended up going to Bucks. Bucks was great. I recommend anybody who decides to go into an education, go to Bucks.
This is Bucks County Community College for our global listeners, all 4 of you.
It's a great school. It's noted as a university education, just because of the way it was funded back in the day in the county. It only is listed as a community college. Beautiful campus, has a lot of history on it. The dean's office has like this whole beautiful cobblestone area. Lots of history. Weddings happen there. Blah blah blah. From there, I went to Penn State. I went to Penn State Abington, and I finished up my Penn State career up at Maine campus. That would be State College, Pennsylvania, for, once again, those international folks. People in Jersey that don't know where State College is.
That's right. It's called
Middle of Penn State.
It's literally called State College, Pennsylvania. Just let that marinate for a second. We have some really cool town names in Pennsylvania.
We do, and think about it. Look, the middle of the state is called Center County. Go figure, but it's not spelled T-E-R. It's T-R-E.
The proper Canadian way.
Proper Canadian way. So Center County. There's where I got my degree in meteorology. I got a major meteorology, minor in business marketing, and business administration. So learning how to basically run a business, I guess you want to call it.
Interesting combination.
It was an interesting.
Yeah, you know, maybe I run my own weather studio. I don't know. It never. Maybe. I mean, I still do.
Was that what you were thinking when you were mixing them together?
No, I just always had this idea of creativity. I was always a very creative artist. I guess you want to leave it at those terminology. I used to draw as a kid. I used to draw like the island with like the sun and the palm trees, and just everything was always like rule of thirds, uniform. You know, might be listed like a touch of autism in there, but it's okay, you know.
Don't we all?
Yeah, we have. You know, any creative artist, they always say, has something like that. So, it may have been.
I love that, the touch of the tism.
Touch of the tism, you know,
yeah.
just a touch,
Just a
you know.
dab.
It's just
Just a tip, you know. Yeah, we derailed. But we're going back on the rails.
Back on the rails.
Back on the rails, real
yeah.
quick. Well, we're going to do this multiple times, so we're going to keep derailing. But we're here. So that's when I got a job up in New York. My first job was NBC 10 News up in New York City at the Rockefeller Plaza. That was super cool. For about 10, 11-ish months, I commuted back and forth 5 days a week via train. I worked with Al Roker, which was really cool.
Nice.
You know, as an intern, part of an intern program there was paid. I kind of got to live the like New York City lifestyle a little bit, you know, commuting back and forth more or less.
For those of you who don't know Al Roker, he is a TV personality journalist on the Today Show, NBC. Sorry, everybody knows who he is, but you know,
you never know. There's some people that still live under rocks.
Yeah.
Actually, a lot of rocks these days, but you know, we're still here for it. So I worked there, and then I saw a job opening down in New Jersey, Mount Holly, New Jersey. So
I used to live there, and I owned 3 homes there.
There you go. Just like that.
Oh,
So
wow.
I knew Jess before then, but actually I didn't. I felt the air of Jessica being in existence in Mount Holly.
He smelt some homies in Mount Holly.
Yeah, it's like dumpster fires, but stuff.
did it smell like lavender?
No.
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 It's the Garden State, though.
Yeah, it was like a landfill, you know. It's that smell come down from Newark.
From Staten Island.
Staten Island.
Yeah.
I don't know. But other than that, that's why I took a job working for National Weather Service in the government, and that was super cool because I was not just working out of that office. I was working basically the whole nation. I went from forecasting to natural disasters, and so I worked in some crazy stuff. You want to say? I mean, like I was in floods, hurricanes, tornadoes. A couple years ago, right before I took the unfortunate when I did a career change, and I guess fortunate as well, is I got stuck in Sanibel Island. I actually had a wedding that weekend, and a hurricane hit on like Wednesday, and the bridge to Sanibel Island completely collapsed. And that was kind of scary because, you know, you have to get home. I have one single parent here back in Pennsylvania, and I have a business still that I'm running as well. And I have a wedding couple that's about to, you know, kill me. And so I was now actually able to make it home. I was able to make it as far north as Charleston, South Carolina. And then the way the hurricane tracked, it got stuck up there as well. That's
like a really big version of the rain cloud following.
It was the omen. It was
like
the
in the
omen of
Prozac
life. It was not the most exciting thing in the world. So like at that point, I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'll take a train home. Trains got canceled. Planes got canceled. Cars, there was no cars. So I had to ride the hurricane out, missed the wedding, blah, blah, blah. I found someone to cover. But yeah, I mean, I had a crazy career in the weather world, per se.
And did that make you shift and say, screw weather because weather screwed me?
No. Actually, made me appreciate it more. I think the most.
You storm chasing? Is that what you mean? Like, you know how people chase on like tornadoes and stuff? Like, is that what your job was?
Yeah, yes and no. So, yes, I was evolving around the weather itself, but a lot of times I went within 24 hours of that disaster. So, say EF3 hit a small town or big town in Kansas, or even here in Pennsylvania, right? I would have to be on that call basis of 24 hours to 48 hours going out and figuring out like what happened, do consensus data. It's like going down to Louisiana, right? Louisiana is a lot of it's under the sea level. Mm-hmm. So whenever I went down to places like that, when they had the hurricanes that came up the coast or up the bayous, is people want to rebuild. And basically, FEMA was telling them no, us, the NOAA, other companies were telling them no because you're underneath sea level, right? Yeah. So anytime you rebuild, you're just going to keep
having to do
You have
so.
to,
when
as
this
a
happens
homeowners,
again.
you guys know you just have to keep building, and it's going to get more and more expensive. And it's going to become unfeasible to a point where they're going to just decline the building. So it was always a different factor, and I think the biggest the coolest life lesson that I did. There's my phone ringing. See, I told you what happened.
Pick it up, put them on.
No, it's working. So, nope, that's just the pest control service calling me. Say we're good. They're calling for me. We're gonna exterminate Vlad the Alexander. Time to suck his blood. Spray him with the prune juice.
Damn, Working Man got dark and diversified.
Yeah, right. This is the one night out of Bristol, so they're not that far. Working Man, you're on. I know from my voicemail too. I'm in trouble. IRS is after me next. What are we back to? So, the biggest thing I learned in meteorology is you go to places that are when a disaster strikes, so fires, flooding, hurricanes, and you come home to your little quiet town or city or wherever you would live. But for me, it was Yardley, so it was more of a quaint town, I guess you want to call it. And realizing that you wake up and you could do something like this right now, and sit at a podcast table, and you're not worrying about the elements outside you at the moment till disaster strikes. So you go from almost a sense of reality to not sense of reality and back like that, like a whiplash, all within like 3 days. And I think that's the craziest thing is I think people are they don't realize what they have until they see something. I've watched, we watched rescues of an old lady that got stuck underneath rubble and just a whole bunch of different crazy things. We've rescued dogs. I fell off a short cliff when I was in California years ago from a wildfire. It's those little things where you just come home and you're like, wow.
You fell off a short cliff?
Yeah, 25
You just
feet.
that seems like a throwaway.
It was fun. I had like a whole cut thing.
Hey, it was short. It was a short clip.
Dracula, so I was feeding into the blood,
Yeah, I would say you just turned into bat form and flew off into safety.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
So were you doing video on, or like production and stuff on the side while you were doing meteorology?
I was.
Because I know, but the people don't know that you made this change during COVID. Correct? When you got laid off?
So a little after COVID. So I shot my first wedding. I was 15 years old. I just turned 32 just a few days ago. Old grandpa over here, 30 years to AARP. So we're catching up to that life. But 15 years old, I shot my first wedding. My mom actually dropped me off to the venue up in Princeton, off of Route 1. And I remember sitting there, I made my first $250. At that age, you're rich. You have kids, and when you give them a couple bucks for chores, you're like, oh my God, what do I do with this? They go out, buy a bag of candy, or eat some straws from Wawa. In case you don't know, she eats straws from Wawa, okay? The first thing I saw...
He's really upset that I was chewing on a straw from Wawa.
Yeah, it wasn't even like the Sour Punch straws, like the candy ones that are edible. This is just like...
Except I was chewing it and all my spit was going everywhere.
It was awful. Yeah, it was scary. It was just...
But guys...
The table got a polish.
I can do whatever I want.
This room is a super spreader event already.
I can't wait,
All we need is Jessica's straw and a bat, and we've got a new pandemic on our hands. Why is that the second time I've said bat?
Because we were talking about...
Because we've got a vampire in the room.
Oh, no, we talked about bats the last episode because we were recreating COVID or something.
Right, that's exactly
We were
right.
making it in a lab.
That's a callback to the...
This is it. This is the next... this is the Yardley lab, not the Wuhan lab here.
Yeah.
So we're doing just fine. But here we go. See, we derailed again. I don't know
What's going to happen? We got three more derails.
Oh, so I shot my first wedding at 15. And so ever since then, I was like, you know what? I had this little point issue. I was actually going to bring it with me, and I forgot. Like everything else I do, I forget. And it's this little like Kodak point issue. It was a gray camera. It was $60 from Best Buy. I remember my mom got it for me for Christmas that same year. That's kind of how I shot a wedding.
Is this film or digital?
This was digital.
Okay.
After that, I actually picked up my first film camera. So I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Old school. I used to watch like cool YouTube videos and all this stuff, even when it was kind of newish back in that time era. And I picked up a film camera, and I also then at that point, I picked up a... Nikon D60. Well, little background story at Nikon D60. I used to work for Frontier Airlines over here at Trent Mercer Airport. And when people leave stuff behind, I'm going to give you guys the inside scoop, by the way, to TSA, okay? Shh. Well, at least at that airport. After 30 days, it's yours. I mean, I got a whole bunch of cologne. Jess probably still smells of cologne from about 15 years ago. Yeah, there it is. It wasn't Christmas this time. It's from the airport. So someone left a Nikon D60. I remember claiming it off the airplane. We were cleaning out the airplane basically when it comes in for the ramp and everything else. And I dropped off at the TSA agent, and they said, okay, well, you have 30 days till someone claims it. And like 35 days went by. I just let it go. I was like, you know what? And I saw this thing, and I was like, I was like, and nobody claimed this. Can I have it? And so that was like my first big boy camera, I guess you want to call it. I grew up, I was a big...
And it literally fell out of the sky.
Literally fell out of the sky, and those green little seats Frontier Airlines used to have,
It did fall out of the sky.
It did, So
You're like the fucking Dorothy of video production. Brandon's feet are hanging out.
Yeah. With the lavender soap on.
Yeah.
And now he's going to tell the story about how he killed someone with a house one time.
Right, that's the one that's untold. That's the untold story.
We're off the yellow brick road now.
We are.
So if you didn't bring the camera today, what you can do is once we post all this, just
take a picture.
And comment with it.
Yeah,
we'd like to see it.
Yeah, that can be done.
Historical piece.
Yeah,
artifact.
It's such a historical piece of artifact. So at that point, now I had 3 camera bodies. Obviously, I ditched the little gray one. I still have it. It's my little forever.
Your starter.
It's my star.
Right?
It's my monument. It's my. It's a
camera.
national treasure, and I put it in a thing and put hieroglyphics on it so nobody can understand it.
Right. Really screw with them.
Done.
Total nonsense.
But like Romanian language, because nobody around here understands Romanian. So, that was what happened, and then I eventually just like, what? I can go into the wedding industry. Why not? Right? Be bold, be that Capricorn, be adventurous. And I started shooting weddings. Like, someone saw the work I did, and I started posting. That's when social media became a more prominent thing. Mm-hmm. That's when the world made a switch from to MySpace. For the younger people, that was like before Facebook. It was actually very clean MySpace most of the time. It was like non-political. It was like the most actually fun thing to ever have.
In 200009, the world wasn't as political
No.
as it is now.
You had music on your profile. Like,
it was a mess.
Cool.
It looked like it was raw HTML from the 90s.
Yeah, but I had like Usher, like when you come into my profile, like, but there's no going on. Okay. Little Nicki Minaj.
Top 8 friends.
Yeah, I have like 4 now, so it doesn't exist in that profile. But
Tom and 3 others.
Yeah, Tom, Larry, Sue, Jane, but Dracula
and Dr. Acula.
Dr. Acula.
He got his PhD. We got to give him respect.
Yeah, he got his PhD from UCLA, University of Closest Levittown area, right?
Extended Community College.
There it is.
I'm an alumni, by the way.
There we go, team alumni. But so that's kind of how I figured it out, and I was like, I'm gonna shoot events, and then I went to when Facebook evolved. So Facebook became a thing where I connected with people I went to school with. But also became a sharing site because Facebook back in the time was a place where you bought a dog, you put it on Facebook, you had a kid, you put it on Facebook, you take a beautiful picture of a sunset and sunrise. That was really what Facebook was, right? Mm-hmm. And it became the best marketing tool back in the day. Before now it became whatever it is now. Meta is now part of Facebook and the business, but that's kind of how it became word of mouth and. Mm-hmm. People started seeing the work I do and the creativity I did. Then I was born and I created something called Bruschini, however you want to say it, photography. So it was just a photography agency. You hired me out to do your 50th birthday, your wedding. And I was booking I was young still. So I was booking 10 events a year. When I did that, my first LLC I was 19.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 19 years old. So I was 19. But once again, it was a couple weddings and events a year, like 10, for almost a whole year, and it's
a salary.
It's under not under IRS, but
It's past
it was under 600. All right, at the end of the day, it was under 600.
Yeah, you're past 7 years, you're fine anyway.
Were you working, or were you just going to school?
So I was going. So during that, I was in school. I was in college. I was working 2 jobs. I worked in McCaffrey supermarkets. I worked at my cousin's deli for a little bit up here. That used to be in here in Yardley. And Dolphies. And then I went to college, and then that's when I started working for Frontier as well and all that. So I was nonstop working. I was always a person that just never had a day to lay on the couch. And, I was explaining, and to this date, right, I can tell people I never have a day to just sit there and do nothing, and it's a blessing and a curse. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I was going to college. I was going to through high school to college and doing all that stuff and still building this brand. Then I changed it over to LLC to TS Media, which became Tri-State Media, because I worked for another company that had Tri-State in it, and we live in a Tri-State area, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, Delaware, whatever either one you would say. So that evolved, and then I made Medialogy, the newborn company name, because it branched off from what my love was, which was meteorology, and that was my career for 8.5 years.
Oh, that's a cool tie.
So meteorology.
Yeah.
So the study of weather is meteorology, but the study of media, or the interpretation, the study of amazing media for my consumers and clients, is that meteorology.
Yeah, I
and,
like
and a
that.
nod to your original trajectory. All right,
Yeah,
that's
so
dope.
it kind of fit in well, and you know, my logo is a cloud with the M on it, so it kind of ties in with my, once again.
See, I had no idea about it. Like, I know your brands, I know the
Yeah.
name. I just thought, okay, it's a dope, catchy brand name, right?
It's
Like,
it's definitely different,
Which it's,
you know.
it's not, but the fact that it ties back into your original
Yeah, I know
career,
that.
like that's.
I,
yeah,
think,
I'm with
I
that,
actually
yeah.
think that you should share that on your site of just like you telling people what you're like. I don't know. I think that's an amazing
The
story.
background story
Yeah,
of it?
I like
Yeah.
that story a lot. I didn't know that.
That's why I was hoping to set up a camera today.
Why
you know.
didn't you tell me?
I was
No, I'm
trying, you know,
kidding.
we had a broken tripod. I tried. I did try.
Oh gosh. All right, so you know the show.
We ran out of straws.
It's okay. It's still there.
So the show we do talk about mental health. So we're
Yes.
gonna loop back there real
Okay.
quick.
Mm-hmm.
So within business specifically, what was a time whether you were completely down or out, or if you ran into something that made you want to quit, and what did you do to keep yourself going?
That time is now.
It's now.
It's
Okay.
now, and it's not. You know, and I think as humans, people don't, and you'll hear about this from psychologists and psychology. The methods of it is people don't like to discuss their problems with others because really, at the end of the day, you know, the typical conversation we have with people, like when I walked into Jess and walked in to see him as well, you know, is, how are you doing? Oh, I'm doing great. You know, things are great. But really in the background, it's a lie.
Yeah.
You know, when you at the end of the day, people don't like to be there as someone's psychologist, unfortunately. And I was raised by a mother, so I was very more accepting of, how do I explain it? To feeling and
Emotions,
understanding
feelings, yeah.
emotions,
Yeah.
feelings. So like I'll sit with friends sometimes and they'll go on for 2-3 hours about their life. I'm like I'm still here. My life is great, but you know what I mean. Sometimes it's those moments. But you know, unfortunately, with the process I said a couple minutes ago, when I just keep going and going and going, it's almost like a defense mechanism in certain ways. It's a micro independency. You kind of grow up, just keep going and going and going. Workaholic. I don't have a wife and kids yet, so for me, it's a different outcome, I guess. You know, and I think the mental health kicks in is when, you know, now I'm shooting 50 to 60 weddings a year and events and stuff like that, and you see love. Right, you see, you know, we've all experienced. I've been through it, you witness it though. You know, I could say so many events I've worked, and you know, I'm going to leave it very vague, but you could see where love is and what love is not at the same time. You know, sometimes people are just marrying someone just for the health benefits, or you know, someone else is marrying just because they were forced into it, or by culture, by religion, and a lot of times people are just not happy. Like you could tell on day one, and those are things I've witnessed and learned, and maybe because I grew up with a widowed mother, right? She adopted me from Romania. It's very different of an upbringing in good ways and bad, because you know, where do you find yourself in certain moments where, you know, you have to teach yourself to grow up and to be, you know, to be an adult when you're watching the world around you blossom. Like all my friends are getting married, they have their kids, they have their dream home, they have everything you know, the white picket fence life that everyone thinks of, you know, in 2026, but. I guess, you know, sometimes that the problem with back to social media is it appears that way, but everyone says it's not always that, you know, the silver lining. But yet there's also a lot of times where, you know, the silver line does exist there, and you know, everything is just, it's like that perfect family life, and they just keep going and going and going. And for me, I'm just like, you know, I left a career that, you know, I took a layoff 2 years ago. As of this January, it'll be 2 years, mid-January right now actually, so we're 2 years into it. That, you know, I had a passion and love, and I miss what I do, but I also enjoyed running the business side. But there's days where I'm just like defeated. You know what I mean? I'm very exhausted, and when you need someone to actually sit there and understand your side of the story of how you're tired, it's hard. You know, how do you explain it to someone else? Like, I'm tired. Well, like it looks like on your Facebook you're doing great and this and that, and like you're posting pictures. Yes, but I post my pictures and I post my videos, my production, because I try to take the what seems to be a polarized version of how people call the world ugly, when it's actually really beautiful, right? And that's why I try to do. And one thing I've learned in life, and this is what I tell everybody, is observe the person around you or anybody that's near you and that you know personally, and watch them talk about something or write something down or draw a picture, and realize that thing that they're talking about is actually the most important thing that they're scared to lose. So like if you, like when I go out and take photos of, you know, the beautiful sunrise and sunsets and my way I see the world, is that's a fear of the things. If I don't see that, I will lose it. And that's what makes me happy is when I can do something like that and see, creativity in the world. So that's always something to observe. Going further is just watch someone else and what they talk about. If someone talks about their dog all the time, I'd rather have a dog live for my whole life than having it pass away within 8 to 16 years average. Those are the things that you just got to observe, and that's where I think we can help each other in mental health if we observe more versus polarizing people for whatever they believe in these days. And because it wasn't like that. We all know that 10 years ago it was not like this, and unfortunately that's why I try to do what I can to try to make the world a little bit happier.
Seek to understand. And cut to it.
Yeah.
That's a very similar paradigm to Heather Shafter.
Yeah.
Right? We had her on. She's my client. She does the consulting. She does the speaking. Just understanding somebody else's perspective opens up multiple lines of communication that were not there before. So, what a beautiful, eloquent way to say, how can we all do better? But how do you personally, what do you do when you're in that position? You talked about, comparison. You're logical. You know that comparison is the thief of joy. So what do you do to push through? What is your go-to mechanisms that you deploy to get through and
just being open-minded in anything. And I think with the fact of what I do artistry-wise and what I do for it's not always for my clients, right? It's always at the end of the day. If someone's they're hiring you to do something, like you as a real estate agent, you and your company, you're there for your client 100%. You give them actually 120%. But there's things where you have to be there for yourself, and when you do the things for yourself, you be open-minded. Like this weekend right here when we're shooting this podcast, we're expecting a big snowstorm, right? From 0 inches to 32 inches, right? And that's seemed to be the quote unquote right joke of the week, right? Now the storm's over land, it's more organized, and now people are starting to see oh, this is exactly what's happening. They're all over TV all day and night saying, the snowstorm of the season's coming, blah, 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 stock up on your salt, blah, blah, blah. End of the day, it's going to snow. It's January. It's Pennsylvania. These things happen, right? And the next day, we're all going to go back to the grocery store. We're all going to live. We're all going to wake up the next day. Sure, some of us may lose power, but you got to live with what we have.
Mm-hmm.
You sound like you're very good at understanding that you can't control everything, and that is if I was saying the skill you're using is the skill that, I don't know, is it acceptance? Is that a skill? You're accepting reality and that you can't change it.
Absolutely.
I feel like whatever skill that is, that's kind of what I feel like you said.
Absolutely, and that's where the open-mindedness comes in. When I was a kid, I was I was brought to every local city in the area, basically. Meaning, I used to travel with an aunt. Those people that you call an aunt, they're very close to, but not really an aunt. Mm-hmm. And Aunt Carmen, and she used to take me around to D.C., New York, Philly, almost every single weekend via train, right? And when she moved back down to Puerto Rico, I was 15 years old and I flew on an airplane first by myself, right? So from learning a city and learning a transportation system and learning how to move around, that teaches you to become open-minded, right? We live in a world where people are unfortunately very sheltered, and you bring someone to a big city, specifically New York or DC, and understand or overseas and trying to learn the transit system, they're completely lost. Mm-hmm. Even in an airport, people are like, where's the terminal? The sign. The sign is right there. Wow. Gates D1 through D16. Oh, it's right there.
Let's not hate on people that are bad at directions, okay?
That seems
open-minded.
Yeah.
She likes straws.
I like them.
If we directed her to straws, she would know where all of them are. In bulk. Sam's Club has a whole box.
No.
The Restaurant Depot.
I only suck my straws from Wawa. And I said it that way on purpose.
And that's the isolated.
There is the goose coin right there, yeah. But it's that. I think that's one of those things in life that I can't. That's taught me to be open-minded, is to travel. And traveling is the most beautiful thing. You just came back from Florida. I was actually supposed to be in Arizona this weekend, but weather said otherwise, and everything else in life. And when you travel and you see the world, it's so different. You learn culture. You learn, New Jersey is different than Pennsylvania, right? I spent a lot of time up in Massachusetts the last few years of my career, specifically in the meteorology side. And Massachusetts is different than Connecticut to New Jersey to Pennsylvania to Delaware, right? Every single state has its own thing. The Midwest, very Christian, very conservative, and just that's super cool. Just learn every single place is different. California has its own differences.
Yeah.
Arizona, California.
Well, I have clients right now. They're moving back. They moved from here down to Tennessee. They're moving back up because they said people in Tennessee are awful. They said they're so mean.
Oh, I'm sorry to our Tennessee listeners.
If you live in Tennessee,
do better.
Comment below and tell us if you're nice or mean. Sorry for pointing.
Just bring us some Nashville hot chicken. I'm cool with Nashville hot chicken.
Yeah.
Just saying.
All right.
But yeah, no, it's that. You become open-minded. You change your perspective of life, and I think travel is definitely one of those things that definitely triggered the style of how I see things in life, and that's why I bring
through your lens.
Yeah, literally.
All right, we need final thoughts because we're about to wrap up. Is there any one piece, short answer advice that you can give to someone that, let's make it very specific, just got laid off and they're like, what should I do next? One piece.
Yeah.
One short piece.
Good luck with me. Italians, we do. We talk with our hands, talk with our mouths. But it's just, yeah, you told you we're already 30 seconds.
I'm trying to get final thoughts here.
They're going to get the answer.
Talk to your young self, man.
Mom, that's Jamaican now.
Talk to your young self.
We just crossed the whole 7 different cultures in about 10 seconds.
Well, you said that's what you're supposed to do.
You're right. Here we go. Open-minded. So we're all,
we're...
All right, well, back to the... keep your head high. Another quote I've recently observed is, if we think so hard about the negatives, why can't we think so hard about the positives? And that's, it's a crazy thing. We put so much effort into thinking of how things can go wrong, right, and get upset about it. Why can't we do the same thing for the positive thoughts? And look,
instead of taking your layoff as like the shittiest thing, instead you turn it into
opportunity.
Yeah, and now you're at where you are because of that experience that felt really shitty at first.
Absolutely.
But you didn't let it completely tear you down, and it kind of gave you a trajectory to where you're supposed to be. And I feel very strongly about that because of the way your logo and stuff is. You completely tied everything back around together.
Absolutely. You find your passion, you find your joy. And listen, the human mind and the brain always works. It's always going to attract a negative first before positive. And it's just how we are. It's how humans are hardwired. I wish every day we could all wake up to certain people. I have people that I know that just literally just wake up and nothing goes wrong. Like someone cuts them off in traffic, go ahead. I'm like, what are you doing? I can't, I'm like, I'm
driving here.
Yeah, I'll throw in 7 curse words if I wasn't going to be beeped down on this, but it's all that. It's, where do you have you going? But it's, I can't, sometimes you just got to keep going, you just got to keep pushing.
Is this important right now?
The message is kind of like Dory from Finding Nemo. It's keep swimming, keep going. So thank you for coming and sharing a bit of your story, kind of giving that really positive mentality on people moving forward. Because I feel like your big message has been, if you get knocked down, get up again. That was what I feel like your theme of this
Who sings that?
of your message is. Not sure. But
whoever does, let them say it.
You guys know. Oh my God, you're acting like a child. No, this is how we end each episode.
We don't know. Shift it back. She took off her bunny slippers.
We don't know why we do it, but we do, and we're ending every episode with a leg raise.
All right, are we?
Yep.
I'm 32. I can't do this.
I'm 42.
Right,
everybody here's older than you. Shut up.
All right.
All right.
You're doing your best, and some days it's a mess, but you're showing up still, so we're very impressed. Feeling the pressure, yeah, we relate. It's okay to not be okay. Minding our business, let's talk it out. Jess and Jonesy know what it's all